Commander Zephyra of the Galactic Council's observation fleet watched through her ship's viewscreen as the primitive blue world continued its lazy rotation around its yellow star. Earth, designation Terra 3 in their databases, had been under surveillance for 3 cycles now, ever since their crude radio transmissions had first leaked into space. The humans were amusing in their simplicity, still confined to their single world, still fighting among themselves over resources that any civilized species had learned to synthesize millennia ago. "Status report," she commanded, her crystalline voice echoing through the bridge. "No change, Commander," replied her tactical officer, Nexus. "The humans continue their localized conflicts. Their technology remains at level 2 on the Kardashev scale. Threat assessment, negligible." Zephyr nodded, satisfied. The humans were decades away from even achieving basic interplanetary travel, let alone posing any threat to the established galactic order. She was about to order the routine surveillance sweep when her communications officer suddenly stiffened. "Commander," the officer said, voice tight with confusion, "I'm detecting massive energy signatures emanating from the human star system. Multiple signatures." "Impossible," Zephyra replied. "Our latest intelligence indicates they haven't even mastered fusion propulsion." But as she spoke, her view screen lit up with proximity alarms. Emerging from the void, seemingly from nowhere, came ships. Not just any ships, vessels that dwarfed her entire fleet combined. They materialized in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly luminescence that made the very space around them shimmer. "By the ancient codes," Nexus whispered, "those aren't human designs. They can't be." The lead vessel was a behemoth, stretching nearly 50 kilometers from bow to stern. Its surface pulsed with veins of pure energy, and at its core, Zephyra could see something that made her blood freeze. A contained stellar fragment, a miniature star powering the ship's heart. "Commander," her science officer called out, voice trembling, "I'm reading energy outputs that suggest each of those ships is powered by harnessed stellar cores. They're using actual stars as fuel sources." More ships continued to phase into reality around them. Sleek destroyers that moved like liquid mercury through space, massive carriers that seemed to bend light around their edges, and cruisers whose weapon arrays glowed with the hungry light of neutron star matter. "How many?" Zephyra asked, though she dreaded the answer. 7,000 ships, Commander. And counting." The communications array suddenly crackled to life with an incoming transmission. The view screen flickered, and a figure appeared, unmistakably human, but wearing technology that seemed centuries beyond anything in the Council's archives. "Greetings," the human said, their voice carrying across the void with perfect clarity. "I am Admiral Chun of the United Earth Supernova Fleet. We've been aware of your surveillance for some time now." Zephyra felt her legs give way. The humans had known. All this time they had known they were being watched. "We appreciate your patience," Admiral Chun continued, "while we completed our preparations. You see, we've been quite busy down here. While you observed our surface conflicts, our best minds were working on something rather special in the deep ocean trenches and underground facilities you never thought to scan." The human smiled, and it wasn't entirely pleasant. "We call it the Supernova Protocol. We've learned to harvest the energy of dying stars, to harness the very forces that create heavy elements in the universe. What you see before you is just the first wave, our exploration and diplomatic fleet." Behind Admiral Chun, Zephyra could see other humans moving with purpose across what appeared to be a bridge that defied physics itself, with holographic displays showing star charts that mapped not just their local galaxy, but dozens of others. "We've been listening to your transmissions," the Admiral continued. "We know about the Galactic Council, about your civilized order that keeps younger species contained and controlled. We've decided we don't particularly care for that arrangement." The massive fleet began to move, ships gliding through space with impossible grace. They weren't heading toward Zephyr's observation post. They were heading everywhere, spreading out across multiple vectors that would take them to every corner of known space. "Consider this our formal introduction to galactic society," Admiral Chun said. "Humanity is no longer content to be observed. We're ready to do some exploring of our own. As the transmission ended, Zephyra stared at the impossible sight before her. Humanity, the species they had dismissed as barely capable of nuclear fission, had somehow leaped directly to technologies that the most advanced council races were only beginning to theorize about. Her communications officer looked up with wide eyes. "Commander, what are your orders?" Zephyra continued to stare at the retreating human fleet, watching as ships that could crack planets disappeared into hyperspace with casual ease. She thought of the council chambers, of the smug certainty of her superiors, of their carefully maintained order built on the assumption that technological advancement was predictable and controllable. "Send a priority transmission to the council," she finally said, her voice barely a whisper. "Send a priority transmission to the council," she finally said, her voice barely a whisper. "Tell them we had no idea what we were dealing with. Tell them the humans aren't just joining galactic civilization." She paused, watching the last of the impossible human ships vanish into the cosmic deep. "Tell them humanity is about to redefine it entirely."